Thanks, Senator Murray. I have a front row seat, so to speak. I'm right on the floor by the House managers. I've sat in my seat, unlike other members, for this whole period of time. I've listened intently. I've used the skills that I had when I was an attorney, the 28 years that I've been in Congress and asking questions at hearings. And I've listened carefully to the president's team. And the one thing I haven't heard from them is a defense of the facts, What I haven't heard is why the president greenlighted aid to Ukraine 45 times between January of 2017 and June of 2019 to the tune of $1.5 billion. And as the ranking member on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, there have to be certifications by the Department of State in conjunction with the Department of Defense that says that Ukraine is meeting its responsibilities and goals as it relates to dealing with its fight against corruption. 45 times $1.5 billion between January of 2017 and June of 2019, that money flowed. Those certifications were made. Now, the same period of time that the president's team would have you believe that the president suddenly had an interest in corruption, the issues which they raised, Burisma and the Bidens, preceded the $1.5 billion, preceded it. So at the end of the day, it's hard to look at the facts. Facts are pretty stubborn. It's hard to look at the facts and reconcile it with the president's defense. Or what I haven't heard is that his own national security officials thought that what he was doing was just fine. No. Or that he wasn't soliciting foreign interference in our elections for his own benefits. So when we start the questioning period today, I want to hear facts, not spin. I've been in enough trials to understand that a little bit of what you do is you have a flash over here, so you're not looking what the other hand is doing over here. And that's largely what I heard the president's defense team do. Create flashes over here so you weren't thinking about the essence, the core of the House manager's case, which is rather compelling. I want to hear that any evidence that the president genuinely cared about rooting out corruption. I want to show me the facts. Conflict against what I just told you about the 45 times and the $1.5 billion. That any evidence that this was official foreign policy. And through all the hearings we've ever had on Ukraine, I can tell you that I never heard that that was official foreign policy of the United States. And lastly, two last points. You know, it is amazing that you have a witness who provides essential information to the core of Article 1, abuse of power, who says, I am willing to come forward, and who ultimately we would have our colleagues not call for them to, or that person to come forward. Now, I've heard my colleagues, several of them say that they would like to see witnesses. Well, sometimes in this institution you don't get what you'd like to see happen, but they can by simply casting a vote for witnesses. They can make what they say they'd like to see happen, which would be an honest, fair, and transparent trial as a result of it. They can make John Bolton, they can make Mick Mulvaney, and the other critical witnesses, a very small universe, by the way, that we have asked for that we believe are critical at the end of the day. They can make that happen. And then the results of the trial will be fair, honest, and transparent, at least. And then lastly, as someone who has been an ardent believer in the checks and balances and the separate co-equal branch of government, and have done that even with administrations of my own party, if the President of the United States can deny all witnesses, all documents, as I consistently see outside of impeachment, impeachment has only personified what this administration has done. If they can drive the ability to have no witnesses for Congress to do oversight, no documents for Congress to do oversight, added to the fact that they believe that this administration believes it can go to war without the approval of Congress. And then take one of Congress's main roles, which is to provide money, and decide that they're going to transfer the money from defense essences to a wall. Well, now guess what? The very essence of our democracy, the very essence of the checks and balances for the American people, they're eviscerated. They're gone. Our government has dramatically changed. To me, Article 2 is as compelling as Article 1. And finally, only Americans should decide American elections. When you have a foreign government, either because they want to or you elicit them, get involved in our elections, guess what? When Putin decides that he wants to get involved in our elections, it's not because he cares about America. He cares about his business and Russia. When Ukraine, even unwillingly, gets involved, it's not about doing what is right. It is about ultimately taking care of their business, their needs. When a foreign government is interfering in our elections, it's not about you, America. It's about them. Only Americans should decide American elections. Let me briefly, I understand some of the Spanish press is here, and I'm going to synthesize that. Tenemos un momento en este juicio donde es un imperativo de que actualmente haya testigos. Entre esos testigos es el embajador Bolton, el ex asesor de la seguridad nacional del presidente Trump. Un testigo que dice que quiere venir a testificar, que tiene información clave sobre el tema esencial y que actualmente la administración y algunos de nuestros colegas no queremos oír de ti. Bueno, si no queremos oír de ti es porque tienes que decir algo que va a perjudicar al presidente. Podemos inferir sin duda de que eso es un problema. Número 2, tenemos que ver por qué el presidente y la administración acordaron 45 veces durante casi 2 años 1.5 mil millones de dólares de asistencia a Ucrania, cuando actualmente tenía inquietudes de corrupción. No había ninguna inquietud de corrupción. Le diste 1.5 mil millones de dólares 45 veces en casi 2 años. Y por último, si el presidente de los Estados Unidos puede actualmente negarle al Congreso testigos, negarle documentos, pensar que puede declarar guerra en contra de otro país sin la aprobación del Congreso y también actualmente transferir el dinero que el Congreso otorga para un propósito, ya no tenemos una democracia. Lo que tenemos es una dictadura.